Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for being here today to help us highlight a growing crisis in our community, and that is food insecurity. My name is Vince Hall. I am the CEO of Feeding San Diego. I'm joined today by Keith Maddox, who is the head of the San Diego Imperial County's Labor Council. Feeding San Diego has been responding to hunger across this community for over a dozen years and provides over 26 million meals per year to the 1 out of every 8 families in need across our community. Tragically, that rate is higher amongst children, with 1 out of every 6 children in our community not being sure where their next meal is going to come from. The COVID virus has resulted in greater economic insecurity across our community, which is fueling food insecurity. As people get laid off from jobs, as people are working fewer hours, as people are struggling to make the essentials of life available, including and especially good, healthy, nutritious food. Feeding San Diego is responding to this crisis in ways that protect the health and safety of those involved in our employment and staff, in our communities, at our food distribution sites. We operate a network of 170 faith-based and charitable partnership organizations across the county who operate food distributions in concert with us. Many of those food distributions are still ongoing in the community, but many have had to change the methodologies they use in order to better protect the health and safety of not just their workers, but people who are accessing the food resources. We also directly distribute food at over 100 locations across the county, and we have taken extra safety precautions to make sure that people accessing food from Feeding San Diego's direct distribution sites do so with minimal risk of contracting the COVID-19 virus. This distribution center is unique in the world of hunger relief in that less than half the food that we distribute in this county ever touches this building. We operate a decentralized network of food rescue and distribution in the county at over 530 locations, including 260 grocery stores, 200 Starbucks stores, 19 central prep kitchens operated by the school district, and many other locations where food would go from the food system to the waste system. But Feeding San Diego is there to intercept it with our partner charities, keep it in the local community, and get it to families in need, often within hours of when it is rescued. In short, we keep Chula Vista food in Chula Vista, we keep Oceanside food in Oceanside, we keep El Cajon food in El Cajon. And these local partner charities are doing so every day of the week, 7 days a week, and they're getting that food to families in need in their local communities. What comes to our distribution center is mainly food that is coming from outside of San Diego County. It comes from national food manufacturers who are aligned with the Feeding America network. It comes from produce at 225 farms and packing sheds up and down the state of California that are partnered with the California Association of Food Banks. And we receive that product here and we get it out to the community as quickly as we can. And importantly, we do it on our own vehicles. So we don't have hundreds of charitable organizations driving to our location here in Mira Mesa. We bring the food outbound on our trucks, which again enhances the safety of the food rescue and distribution process. As I said before, we're trying to reinvent our network to serve ever more families at this critical moment. And today we are announcing that 5 different direct distribution sites are going to be created with drive-through lanes across San Diego County to help families in need. These sites will be operated with no questions asked. Families will stay in their vehicles. The food will be placed directly into the vehicle by volunteer staff who are going to be maintaining safe distances and hand washing and gloves and other safety procedures. And we're going to be updating this network of direct food distributions in the days and weeks to come to allow even more San Diegans in need to access these food resources. This is not a time for bureaucracy. This is not a time for paperwork. This is the time to make food accessible to people in need across the county. And the 5 locations that we're announcing today, one of which is literally in operation as I speak, are going to be incredibly important access opportunities for families in need to get the food resources that they need. I'm also proud that we have partnered with San Diego City Schools to bring fresh, healthy fruits and vegetables to what would otherwise be just a meal distribution at many school sites across the city. We are reaching out to other school districts across San Diego County who are operating meal delivery sites for students and their families to see if they too would like to receive healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables to participate in this program. We are having to reinvent our distribution systems as we go along, but we have best practices and we have incredibly innovative staff and incredibly innovative partner agencies right here in San Diego County. By working together as a community, we're going to be able to address this crisis. We're going to be able to ensure that people have access to the healthy, fresh nutrition that they need, and we're going to be able to sustain it as long as this crisis continues to create the need in the community that we're seeing. I want to assure people that Feeding San Diego is doing everything within its power to bring as much food as possible into our communities to serve them and their families. To access these resources, they can visit feedingsandiego.org, which is our website. They can see a clickable map of food distribution locations across the county. They can click on a location close to their home to see the hours of operation, and there's a phone number which they can and should call to verify the time and location of that distribution. They can also call 211 San Diego, which is an incredible resource for San Diegans looking for access to not just food, but any other social service assistance, whether it be housing, healthcare, mental health care, you name it. 211 San Diego is a great resource that encompasses not just Feeding San Diego's efforts, but those of other hunger relief organizations. People ask me on an hourly basis now, what can we do to help Feeding San Diego succeed? And the number one resource that we need from the community is financial assistance. If folks are inspired to make a donation at feedingsandiego.org, all of the funds that are generated are going to be immediately circled into our COVID-19 response initiatives. And so we want to be very thankful to San Diegans who have already stepped up to the bat. We have seen a dramatic increase in online donations since last Thursday. But if people are inspired to go to feedingsandiego.org and make a donation, please know that those funds are going to go directly into our hunger relief initiatives. At this moment, I would like to pause and introduce Keith Maddox, the head of the San Diego Imperial County's Labor Council, and invite him to say a few words. Keith?
Thank you for being here today. I'm Keith Maddox. Our San Diego and Imperial County's Labor Council represents 200,000 working families across the region. And I want to applaud Vince and his team at Feeding San Diego for the work that they're doing to put food in the hands of those that are in need right now. You know, let's just start with the reality is we're in a crisis. We have a global health crisis that's all over the news that we hear about, but it's much bigger than that, as Vince talked about. It's created a jobs crisis, it's created a people crisis, and it's created a food crisis. Workers are losing jobs every day. They're losing their hours, they're losing their paychecks. 3 weeks ago, we saw the first signs of this as we began at the Labor Council to put into action a response plan as we watched the convention center, all the conventions and events beginning to cancel. We watched the hotels all of a sudden begin to dry up at a time that we should be really busy this time of the year. It is the start of the convention season and tourist season as well. So you watched all those workers in hotels and banquet servers and bartenders, to our stage hands and display workers and dock workers at the convention center that keeps that running. And now we see every day additional companies that are being impacted by this crisis, from the airport, now our bartenders, our bars and restaurants. People are being asked to stay home, and we would request they do that. But we also have to make sure that we take care of those that's being impacted, because this can become much bigger in a big way. You know, our Labor Council has been on the front lines of responding to the needs in San Diego for 118 years, providing a helping hand in times of need. And we've already on the front lines here. I mean, we now have 3 operations of food distribution that we're working to take care of our union members and our unions that are having workers laid off and their paychecks cut back. We are already fully operational in those sites, distributing that as in need. But we know we need to do more. And that's why we're partnering with Feeding San Diego at such a vital time. Vince talked about beginning to open up operations in other locations. We're going to be partnering right here in San Diego to kind of replicate what we do every year with Feeding San Diego at Qualcomm Stadium, where we, during Christmas holidays, we adopt 650 families to help those in times of need, with a full meal and toys, and we're going to be doing that. We'll begin that on Saturday. We're working out all the final details that we'll announce in the very near future, but our unions will be out there to support. I mean, this is what we do. Our folks are willing to volunteer. As Vince said, we'll work diligently to keep everybody safe and make sure that we're practicing everything that the CDC and our other governmental agencies are asking us to do, but we have to be there to help. This is what we do. It's called solidarity, and it's solidarity for workers, it's solidarity for our communities, and it's solidarity for everybody that needs a helping hand right now. And we're going to ask you, as Vince said, we need to contribute right now. It's going to take money. All those that can give a little bit right now, Feeding San Diego needs those resources to help provide those food. And I can tell you, I've watched their operation, see how it can help people. I can see it during our Christmas distribution and the smiles on families' faces when they're getting all those fresh fruits and vegetables and all the food to supply their families. And that's what we have to do right now. I want to also rehash just a moment. Yesterday, we were part of a group that with the San Diego Foundation where we're trying to help on a larger scale as well, where we're trying to provide not only food support like here, but also people that need utility assistance and rent assistance. And I would encourage you also to go to San Diego Foundation.org/COVID-19. It is going to take all of us working together to help those in times of need. Our union members are going to be on the front line. We're going to help take care of our own members, but we know we have to take care of every San Diegan that needs a helping hand right now, and I encourage you to support everything that Feeding San Diego is doing here. Thank you.
With that, I'm open to questions. Any questions? Okay, we can do some one-on-ones. And just for clarity, the first distribution, which began today, is happening as we speak at Community Through Hope in Chula Vista at 465 C Street in Chula Vista. We're going to have a North Coastal distribution on March 19th in coordination with the charity Brother Benno. We're going to be doing that at 3260 Production Avenue in Oceanside from 10:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. on March 19th. Our East County distribution will be on March 20th at the Salvation Army El Cajon, 1101 East Main Street, El Cajon, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We are in the process now of finalizing a North Inland distribution, which we will be announcing momentarily, probably within 2 hours. And we're finalizing the details with what Keith Maddox just described as being a distribution to occur this Saturday at Qualcomm Stadium. All of these distributions will occur with drive-through lanes to maximize the security and safety of both the folks accessing the food resource and those distributing the food. So with that, thank you all for being here. I'm sorry, I had one question about seniors I was supposed to address, so let me address that very quickly. Senior citizens, until a year and a half ago, were prohibited from accessing the CalFresh program, otherwise known as food stamps, if they received supplemental security income, also known as SSI. It's very important for every senior in San Diego to know if they receive SSI benefits, they are now also eligible to apply for CalFresh benefits. So for 40 years, seniors on SSI have been told you cannot apply for CalFresh benefits. But now the law has changed, and if a senior citizen is on SSI, they are able to apply for CalFresh benefits, and they should apply by calling 211 San Diego. Rural East County is rife with food insecurity. Many senior citizens are living in small rural communities in the mountains of East County, and they do not have transportation. They do not have affordable grocery stores. They lack access to affordable, nutritious food. Feeding San Diego is operating twice a month free distributions in Alpine, Bonsall, Borrego Springs, Boulevard, Campo, Descanso, Fallbrook, Guatai, Jacumba, Julian, Palma, Potrero, and Shelter Valley. Each of those rural East County communities has twice monthly food distributions, and many, if not a majority, of the participants at these distributions are senior citizens. These are no questions asked distributions. Anybody identifying themselves as a family in need is welcome to participate. We also partner with home delivery services like Meals on Wheels and Special Delivery and Stepping Higher. These are local charitable organizations that provide food to homebound individuals, whether they be medically incapacitated or senior citizens unable to cook for themselves. We are partnered with senior living facilities, senior homes, a senior resource center. Feeding San Diego feeds almost 2 million meals a year to senior citizens. And at this moment, we are in negotiation with other charitable partners to expand home meal delivery for seniors because, as we know, many seniors who have been accessing meals at congregate feeding sites are now having to isolate themselves and need home delivery of food in order to stay well nourished. Many of those seniors also, by the way, are incapable of cooking meals for themselves. So we have the added complexity of making sure that we're bringing the appropriate food product to seniors. And there's more on that coming soon. And finally, it's really important that as we distance ourselves from each other, we come together as a community and that we check on our senior citizens. Don't assume that somebody is okay. Call them, knock and talk through the door, check on that senior citizen who lives down the block from you or lives in the apartment down the hall and is in your faith community or is your friend or family member. Look in on them, make sure their needs are being met. San Diego is an extraordinary place where the community comes together at a time of crisis. We saw that in 2003 with the wildfires. We saw it again in 2007 with wildfires, and we're seeing it today with the COVID-19 virus. This is a community that bonds together, that looks after each other, even while we distance ourselves from each other in the name of health and safety. So thank you, San Diego, for what you're doing for each other, and thank you for what you're doing for Feeding San Diego.